welcome back. Crystal here again. Hopefully you can hear me better this time. So yesterday's video, the audio was not happening. I've attempted to play around with it to soup up the audio quality of my voice, and I don't think it's really gonna be that digestible. So I probably won't attempt to re-upload it, and because I was flow posting and just talking on a whim, it is a bit hard to recreate, short of me somehow scripting it and then reading it out again, which is just gonna feel forced, I feel. So we're just gonna let that be, and if I happen to bring up some of those things from that video again, then great, and we can touch on them. But what I was tapping into was the way that it can be so easy to procrastinate on your own life and put things off that are important to you. And we're so overwhelmed with inputs these days. Anything externally coming into your inner world, coming from outwards, other people's thoughts, opinions, feelings, systems, work, social media, things on the internet, just all of that is input. But what is your output? Not that you have to be productive, but like output makes it sound like productive, but what's going on in your inner world? What's coming from the inside and going outwards? That's good to check in, because we are creators. We are here on this planet for a short time to create, and not all of us see ourselves that way. Like, I know that many people feel like, oh, I'm just not creative, because they don't paint or make music, and those are the quote-unquote creative ways to be. But there's so many ways to be creative. You can be creative with how you have a conversation. I mean, in this day and age with AI, it's creative to show up and have silly ways of speaking that show your true personality. And I'm really grateful that I have always learnt into a wide vocabulary and enjoyed trying out new words and traveling and learning different ways of speaking and different terminologies for things. And sometimes, because I have lived in, this is now my fourth country, sometimes I don't know which term came from where anymore, because it's just all part of the way I speak and the way I show up, and I've become a bit of a world citizen because of that. I say, well, I record this at the tram station, and I just am so grateful for that, because it would be very hard to replace my voice. Weirdly, since I was a child, I remember being a kid in primary school and really wanting to be unique, really priding myself on being unique with the project I chose and other bits and pieces. I think an ant just crossed the screen. I can see him on my screen. It's funny. See, even an ant can be big in the smallest situation of my lens. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but I feel like it could mean something. We can feel tiny when we look up at the stars, but to an ant, we are huge, Side note, anyway. So, yeah, I feel very grateful to have a unique perspective, and it's something I've always prided myself on. I remember being really upset when a school project in said primary school was decided for me. Basically, we were going through the alphabet, and we had to choose a subject from the alphabet every week, from one letter of the alphabet, subject starting with that letter. And I had been collecting a whole bunch of pamphlets on ostriches for when O came up, and I was excited. And like, my parents used to take their business to a thing called the Field Days, like a show. So it was an arborist business selling machinery to cut down trees and all sorts of stuff, fun stuff like that. Anyway, they'd often be there. I'd get to go along and hang out at different stalls and go and have a wander, probably with adult guidance because I was quite young, so hopefully. And while I was there one year, the same year, there was like an ostrich booth. You could learn about the ostriches and you could touch some of their feathers, not the real one, but I mean the real feathers, but like they were like selling feathers or something that had already fallen from the ostriches. Anyway, so I got all the pamphlets about these ostriches and I was so ready to nail this assignment of like, when O finally comes up, I have my subject. It's very exciting. And then we ended up going to a field trip with school where we stayed overnight at the Howick Historical Village, which is this beautifully preserved little like museum, slice of Howick, which was one of the first settlements in Auckland, in New Zealand, where I'm from. And that was a really actually cool event, really fun. And like I've visited there in recent years, actually working in film. Like we filmed there for a couple of different projects that I have been on, and I remember that going there and having a fun time learning about how things used to operate and the kind of toys the kids used to have and all that. But here's the kinch, here's the thing, when it comes to it, we were told we had to write our O article, our O subject had to be overnight stay. So, like that's a bit of a clunky way to choose to use O as it is, but no, overnight stay is what we had to use. And that meant I didn't all my research on ostriches for nothing. And I had this beautiful, unique topic and I didn't get to share it. It's very sad. I don't really know why that story was relevant, but I was telling it anyway because the point is, like, I would be sad if I didn't get to pick something unique. I didn't want to pick something everyone else is doing. How boring. So I've always prided myself on being unique and finding ways to be unique and choosing something different, sometimes to my own detriment because I will overwhelm myself trying to be the one and only sparkly gem that I am, Crystal. I don't know if I actually said I'm Crystal Tottenham. I really suit my name, what can I say? And not in a stripper way. Thank you. But I have loved gemstones since I was little. And anyway, so like being unique, being creative was important to me. You had to be creative to be unique. But also every single thing, even if it seems generic and boring now, was created at some point. Somebody created the first iteration of that, and then a bunch of other people came and created the next versions and the next versions, and every single little thing was created, like an escalator. It's right behind me, yeah? You know, there was a first iteration of that. I mean, you could call it stairs maybe, but at some point someone decided to engineer how to move the stairs. You know, like everything you look around has been created, some of it by nature and some of it by humans, some of it by animals. You know, beavers make a dam. So everything's been created. So we are all creators to be on this creative plane. So as much as I talk about with Crystal Clear Coaching that I want to help creatives, and I come from a creative background working in film and TV as a costume assistant. Sometimes if you're not a costumer yourself, you think, is she mispronouncing customer? No. Like I have a quote-unquote creative background, but to be honest, my job in film and TV as a costumer is mostly organisation, helping with a huge team of people to keep things organised, to make sure clothes get on bodies that have already been decided by the design team. Very rarely do I actually have a decision as to the kind of vibe what people are going to wear, because I'm part of a costume team that is between like 30 personnel on a very small show. And I think I got up to like 150 just costume people on one show I worked on. So like, people just, if you're not in the industry, you don't necessarily understand. Like, that's how many people are putting into it. And I am not a designer by any way, shape or form. I very much have a basic organising, like lugging things about logistics kind of role in costume, to be honest. Helping get things to set, helping shop for things that have already been decided what the vibe is, on set. At the shops, and then taking it to set, But it is way more exciting and feels way more creative. Through all the collaboration between different departments and discussions that get to happen, and just the vibes that you get to have going out on location and filming something with a great team of people. It is still creative energy being used, and probably feels a lot more creative than sitting behind a desk all day and staring at numbers on a page or words on a page on a screen, which doesn't feel creative, but can also feel very creative depending on the situation, and also your perception, your lens of how you show up when you are focusing on something like that. There's times when people have been super creative staring at a page with a physical pen and paper or on a laptop or a computer, like people that have written books, like made up entire worlds and put the words to the page, that's so creative. But just having a discussion with someone in passing, and choosing to ask a more unique question, like something other than, hey, how are you? Fine. Just choosing to answer in a different way. Like, that can be creative. There's so many ways to be creative. So, if you are someone that feels like you're not creative, I'm just calling you out and saying you are. It's a choice. It's a choice. And you might be doing creative things without even realising it too. So, yeah. It doesn't have to be like creating literal art pieces for you to use your creativity. So yeah, my niche is helping creatives, and yes, that means film workers, yes, that means musicians, yes, that means painters and sculptors and anyone doing anything arty, someone in graphic design, but it also means anyone that chooses the ways they want to create their own life. Hopefully that tram's not too loud. And just even having that shift and that lens of being like, well, you know what? I am finding ways to be creative in my life and to show up differently through that lens now. I can actually show up differently and see the beauty in that. And now I'm inspired to imagine deeper and create further the things I want to see more of in this world. So yeah, I was going to attempt to talk about and touch on the things I talked about last night on this video, but that hasn't happened, and I feel like we're at a good point to call it. I also have lots of people, we can't see them now. Anyway, there was lots of people leaving a tram. I probably should get on the next tram to, go home, go wherever they're going. But I just want you to be creative for yourself, please. And I will attempt to recover the gist of what I said in yesterday's video, I guess, in the next video. I feel like it will all kind of piece together eventually. But it's the joy of flow posting. Sometimes you get gems as to me talking about ostriches and overnight stays and being unique, and sometimes you get me barely legible because you can't hear anything. So yeah, anyway, much love. Hope you're having a good day.